Check. Welcome to South Omaha Speed. We appreciate you joining along tonight. Got a special guest. We're going to call on the phone here on the Gulf Coast. Gene Kidder, pioneer hot rodder here in town, family of hot rodders. If you've ever been by 60th and L Street here in town, the Satellite Motel was the Kidder family owned, and there was a garage next door that they maintained cars out of, and a lot of Mopar stuff in the 60s. So they early hot rods up into the transition into the 60s, the muscle cars. Gene had a funny car at one time. He's 90 years old. I just spoke to him a couple minutes ago. He's excited. We're excited. Just want to share some of that Omaha history with you. We got the wife's Cadillac out tonight, snuck it out. Got Johnny with the big cameras. So thanks for coming, John. Excited to give him a call. I got the Elvis glasses on, saw the movie, had to get the glasses. So it would drive the Cadillac with the EP, taking care of business glasses on. So we'll get back with you in a second. We'll get him on the phone and we'll get this thing started. Thanks so much for joining.
Hello.
Hello, Gene.
Are we on speaker?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Hey, we got a little sound now.
You sound good on this end.
This is such a pleasure for me
Oh.
to be able to express myself to someone like you.
Well, thank you.
After all of these years.
Well, I'm blessed to have you on the phone. I'm excited. I thought maybe if you just wanted to maybe talk about how, maybe your life as a child there on the farm, talk a little bit about that and how you maybe got into cars, maybe your first hot rod, and just kind of go from there. If you just wanted to talk, and I'll listen.
Okay. So go ahead with your questions. I'll try my best.
Oh, you bet. So let's talk about your first hot rod. Would you do some street racing with that, and what was it? What kind of car?
My first real hot rod was Mr. Tough. It was Mr. Tough.
That was a Roadster pickup truck, wasn't it? The Model A?
It was called Mr. Tough. And
Was it?
I had many of them since that.
Was it flathead powered Ford?
That one was a Ford.
Okay.
And then of course, I had the admiration for the Hemi engine, so it didn't take me long to get a car and put a Hemi in it. And I learned a lot when I did that, but what it takes to actually make a performance automobile.
How many trophies did you pick up with that?
And I picked up over 100 trophies with that very first car
Wow.
that I had.
Right.
Were you?
And it got to a point where when I would come home, if I came home with all the trophy, my dad will say, "What happened to you?" So my family went along with me all the way. It took that to make it happen.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, what was your second car, Gene?
My second car, we called it Tough Junior.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I come up with that name, Tough. Mr. Tough was my first car. It was a Roadster pickup.
Right. But the second one, what was that second one?
The second one was Tough Junior.
Mm-hmm. And where was that out of? Where did you buy that car out of? It was a dealer car, right? Who was the dealer on that car?
Yeah. And the third one was Tough Sugar.
Was that a full-bodied Mopar then at this point, or were you still running an old Ford body with a Hemi in it?
Oh, it was a white Plymouth, Gene.
Oh, okay.
That was a white Plymouth
And Jacobson, I think, sold
from
it out.
Jacobson Motors.
Right.
Was that here in town?
And my dad had run Plymouth on the mail route for several years, so I had to represent Plymouth.
Absolutely. Was that a wedge car or was that a Hemi? 426.
At that point, it was still a six-cylinder.
Okay.
And the next car was what? Oh, the red
Then
car.
when I went to the Red Dodge, I went to a Hemi.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was was that 65 then? Like a 426 Hemi?
They were, they were 426 Hemis.
And that was one from Sockerman Dodge?
That came from Sockerman Dodge.
Okay. Those are the old names.
Were those Omaha dealers then?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
great. And so you were racing up at Flightland at Omaha Dragway?
yes. I
Who
was one of the promoters to get Omaha Dragway put in place where it was with Don Kroger, who owned the property. He was willing to go along with putting a drag strip on it, and we did. And that was quite a venture.
was that like 1960 or what? Do you remember what year that was?
Well, that had to be,
Let's see, you were born in 33, so what, 27? Yeah, about 60.
About 60
Okay.
was
that
your first year.
about 1960.
Who was some of your big competition out there? Were you going back and forth?
I was already connected with National Hot Rod at that point.
Okay.
I was an advisor.
Yeah.
And so that came as a natural. And I started talking to a guy by the name of Don Kroger, who owned land out northwest Omaha. And
That was Flightland, right? Didn't they call that Flightland? That's what he said. Is it Flightland? Yeah.
Flightland. My dad tells stories about going out there. My dad tells a story, Gene, where he's seen you go up with a guy named Tony Zager in a 427 powered 57 T-Bird. He saw you race Tony Zager out there one time at Flightland when he was in high school.
yeah, that's cool.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and then
That was,
Who won it?
yeah, who won that race?
Who won it?
well, I was already involved with the National Hot Rod Association at that point as an advisor from the Omaha area. And so it was a natural for me to get into racing. And I did. I've never regretted it because it has given me a lifetime knowledge of how you run a business. I was able to become an advisor to National Hot Rod Association, and that has kind of guided my life all the way.
Wow. When the
I
NHRA,
had some more cars. I had a red Dodge.
That was Sockerman. The Barracuda was next, and you got that from who? Jim Mark?
I got the Barracuda from Jim Arp.
Right.
That was there
And
on L Street, right?
it became a very famous race car around the country.
Oh, okay.
As they raced it back east and down south.
Okay, there were 2 more cars after that. Which one is
And
it?
then I had, after the Barracuda,
Was it Landy's car or Gene Snow's car?
I had Dick Landy's car. He was famous
You bet.
Dodge racer at the time.
And you renamed it Fever Dodge.
I named it Fever Dodge.
Right. And the last one, that was down south, when you lived down south in Florida. You got that from Gene Snow.
Yeah, I got the last one from Gene Snow. And
You called that Dominator Dodge? Yes? No?
I called it Dominator.
That's all 6 of them.
Was that the funny car? That last one, the funny car then?
They were both funny
Oh,
cars.
the last 2 were funny cars?
Yeah. Landy and Gene Snow.
And they were both Hemi cars, I would assume, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
What kind of fuel were you running then? Were you running nitro or?
I have to have a couple people. You'll hear my wife.
It's okay. He's asking what kind of fuel did you run?
We ran straight gasoline because my brother had a Texaco station.
Okay.
So we always promoted Texaco gasoline.
And what did you run in the funny cars?
Then I went to a funny car because I didn't figure I was going fast enough to make an impression.
Sure.
And so I went to a funny car, and that really woke me up, I'll tell you. That funny car would fly.
That's awesome.
And
The Texaco station was that right next to the Satellite Motel?
yeah, uh-huh.
And that building's still there, correct? I think it's a muffler shop now.
There's still a building there, yeah.
That was right to the north of the Satellite then, the Texaco station? Because the original one was right on the corner.
Are you having a hard time hearing them?
Yeah, I had a little bit of a problem hearing you at that point.
Okay.
So he's saying the Texaco.
The Texaco station that my uncle ran from clear back in the early years. It was Tex Garage. So we were always connected.
Gotcha.
But it was a matter of performance was always the thing we were looking for.
So then who got the garage after Tex died, passed away, your Uncle Tex?
When my uncle, Fred Tex, passed away, my brother Floyd Jr., he acquired the filling station and the garage, and he was my partner in the race cars all the way from the very beginning.
Right.
Very cool.
And
When
he was a midget in stature, but he was a big man on the racetrack, I'll tell you.
That's awesome.
He didn't drive the cars, but he sure helped me design them and build them. And we went out and we ran cars on the various racetracks available to us.
Did you build those cars right there, just north of the Satellite Motel at that garage then? Was that where you built your race cars?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That was it.
So cool. So when the NHRA guys would come to town, the safety safari team, I guess you'd call it, would they stay at the Satellite?
It brought in a lot of business to the motel over the years.
He's asking about the safety safari, Zim Zimmerman and them, how they come in.
Those guys would come in and stay at the motel to clear out on the Colorado border. They would come back here and spend long weekends. And
Tell them about your mom having to throw them all out because they were cutting up.
every once in a while, my mother would have to go out and correct their behavior.
They're up in the penthouse, but what were they doing up there she didn't like?
They would get through with a full day at the drag races, and then they go to the penthouse that we had, and you could bet what they were doing there, having a few beers and so on.
I can imagine.
A few too many, maybe.
Right.
A few too many. Sometimes they get all fired up, decide to head west, clear out to their homes on the Colorado border late in the afternoon when they should not have been driving a car, but they got in them and they left and they would go out.
Oh, man. No
Different
safety
times.
safari.
Different times back then, the safety safari, you know? So would Connie Coletta,
But they were,
Yeah, he's asking about Connie Coletta, Gene. Connie Coletta. What happened?
Connie Coletta, people like that are known national professional racers. But on my living room floor with the pit crew and so on. Connie was a good racer, still is to this day.
did
It really gave me, it opened up my world. I thought I was going to be a stuffy banker, and I ended up being a crazy racer, I guess.
you were a banker?
I had to use these words to my wife for a long time.
I know you, and you're just what you say.
I'm just getting wound up.
Right. You were a bank executive downtown Omaha, weren't you?
I was.
What was your bank downtown Omaha? Where did you work?
The Omaha National Bank
Okay.
in South Omaha. I was an officer of the bank. A lot of times they doubted whether I was even in banking or if I was just a clown going around, you know.
Sure, having a good time. Did a lot of the racers stay at the satellite then when they would come through town?
Yeah.
Would
Yeah.
Did you allow them to work on their cars next door at night if they needed to?
Did they work on the cars, Gene, right there? They had.
Oh, yeah, they sure did.
Awesome.
Yep.
That is so cool. So much history on that corner right there. And I've been by that corner thousands of times in my life. I lived up there off 50th and Grover pretty much my whole life, and I worked at HP Smith Ford, so I drive by there all the time, and just went by there today actually, and not just till a couple years ago when I was talking with Danny Ostronic.
Well, we sure helped the county by taking the race cars off of the streets and putting them on drag strips. And I was involved in that deal.
That's
I became a advisor to the National Hot Rodding Association. So I met with some of the leaders of that for years, and that was quite an experience.
right.
And it didn't hurt to have my banking background, as many times we had to convert drag strips, take parks to turn them into drag strips.
Well, we appreciate that. Back in the day, get those hoodlums off the street. My dad was one of them, so thank you.
What was your dad's first name,
Uh,
Tom?
Tom Sikora, same as mine.
Okay, so you're a junior. Okay.
Yep, he graduated.
Not a junior, but
Okay.
He graduated in '62.
Well, I wasn't a junior because I came along. I had a brother that was a junior, and he helped me a whole bunch through all this craziness, if you want to call it.
Sure, absolutely.
But it was a lifetime profession for me.
a lifetime of pleasure too.
Good memories, a lot of good memories.
A lifetime of pleasure because
Let me say something to Tom, honey. And we really appreciate this interview because Gene really enjoys talking about all of his experiences in racing. And when I showed him the picture of Howdy Williams' car, boy, did that start him talking again.
Oh,
And remembering all those things. Now, you guys were instrumental in doing that, yes?
so yeah, so
I like Howdy.
Let him talk. I want to hear his answer.
yeah, so that car actually, that car was in storage for 50 years, and Dad got lucky and got our hands on it. A buddy of mine got it from Rick Powers, and we got that car.
Every once in a while, Howdy would get into a little trouble, but he really was a good person.
Awesome. That's what I've heard. I've heard nothing but good things about Howdy Williams. And I know Howdy is a young man, like in his early 20s, because all the photos I have of him, he's so young with his little buzz, his haircut so short. You know what I mean? I just.
Very young face on that young man. I never knew.
Howdy was like a young brother to me.
Oh, cool. So much talent and so much passion to do that. So thank you so much for taking the time. And I know. Thank you for sending me those photos that you've been sending me, Susan. Appreciate that, and we'll get them.
That's an interesting person. I wish I had a lot more time with you.
Yes, well, you got my number. You're welcome to call anytime. I'd love to hear the stories. That's great. Absolutely. I love that. That would be great. Thank you. Okay.
This is a real pleasure.
Thank you. Our pleasure's all ours. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.